Today we have Dan Hauser, a lawyer specializing in insurance. What? Insurance recovery? What
insurance coverage, insurance litigation.
Insurance litigation.
Helping building owners get money to make repairs.
Yes. Okay. So, I mean, the first question comes up. I have an insurance policy. That insurance policy usually covers things like fire, wind, flood, but you have found a little niche. You found a little niche in something else. So tell us more about that.
Well, it's really coverage for water damage, and
okay.
That's what most building owners find around here in Western Washington. Mm-hmm. They find water intrusion when somebody like J2 comes out and investigates. And we've been able to trigger coverage under a lot of different policies for water intrusion.
So it's hidden damage, wind-driven rain, that type of stuff. So they've got a 20-year-old apartment building. They say there's some leaks going on. We go out to investigate. We pull some siding off, and it's like, whoa, there's a rot everywhere. Or rot or water damage or whatever you want to call it. How do you then take it from there? We say call somebody like me. What?
Right. So our first step would be to take a look at the insurance policies and to see what coverage is available. And you'll be surprised what you find. Sometimes we find coverage specifically for rot. Sometimes we find coverage specifically for construction errors and defects. Mm-hmm. Most often, though, we find coverage for water damage from wind-driven rain, and that's usually what we focus on. So we take a look at the policies for free and see if there's something there.
So there's big insurance policies, and do those put you to sleep, or you that type of guy?
Well, unfortunately, I'm ashamed to admit I'm a bit of an insurance nerd. So I actually kind of enjoy reading the policy and finding something in there that my client can actually turn into money. Sure, it's kind of a little treasure hunt for me.
Right. So. Right. Yeah. Well, that's a good thing. So is it a specific policy, or it's already a policy that everybody has?
I mean, I've read thousands of these, hundreds of these policies. Mm-hmm. And so I know what a lot of them are going to say when I see, say, the Allstate policy or the State Farm policy from 1989. So I can get a pretty good idea of what the coverage is going to be just based on my library of historic knowledge. But there's no substitute for reading the policy. Okay,
and so this isn't a condo specific thing, right? It's basically every building?
Right. The coverage is similar, whether it's an apartment, a condo, a retail building, a hotel. The policies are written on similar coverage forms. And so far, mostly it's been condo owners who have been pursuing these claims. There's no reason why apartment owners, retail building owners, homeowners couldn't pursue these claims as well.
So if there's good language in their policy, they should have you take a look.
Absolutely.
How much damage do we have to have before we call an attorney? The typical view is attorneys are expensive. I got to sign these big contracts. I don't want to litigate. So how much damage is necessary? Is there a trigger? Is there a certain amount? Is there what kind of damage do we need?
I mean, that's a tough question. Usually you don't know how much damage is there when you make a couple openings. Yep. So it's more a question for J2. It's more a question for the consultant. How much damage do you think we're going to find? Right. And what's it going to cost to fix this? If you're looking for a dollar figure, I'd say we're looking at significant dollars, like maybe $200,000-300,000 or more. A lot of these claims are significantly more than that.
Sure.
But if it's just a minor issue that's discovered that isn't going to be project-wide, it's just an isolated issue, it's probably not worth making a federal case out of it.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I'm afraid my insurance company will drop me if I make a claim. Is there any fear to that, or is there any?
I've seen that happen occasionally. More often, it might be the insurance company might decide not to renew at the end of the coverage period. But so far, my clients have not had problems getting alternative coverage.
Okay.
And you can also decide how you want to approach it. Some people decide we're going to make claims to our prior insurance companies, but not to our current insurer because we want to preserve that good relationship with the current insurer. That's another way you can go. You take a look and see which insurers have the best policies, the most valuable coverage, the best chance of recovery.
So you're bringing up another good important part. Old policies. How far back can you go, or do you go, or do you want to go? And so it's not just this year's policy. It's
right. I've gone back 30 plus years.
Oh, and there's still coverage.
Yeah, there is no quote expiration date on these policies. We're talking about damage that occurs gradually over a long period of time. And so the key is, was there some damage during the policy period? And so if there's damage that's been occurring for 30 years, you potentially have coverage under all 30 of those policies.
So it'd be a different policy if they changed every year, but a lot of our clients we see, hey, I like my insurance broker. I'm loyal to them as far as renewing the premium. So for 20 years, I've been with the same people, and they just keep re-upping my thing. Is it? Do you find a 20-year-old policy with them, or is it new policies, or at least it's the same source, but it's could be different. I guess it could be different.
We've seen a lot of differences there. I just had a client who had Allstate for the last 25 years, never changed since original construction. I have other clients who were making claims to 12 different insurance companies because they changed every 2 years.
Okay.
And there are pluses and minuses to each situation.
Okay.
We got one target. They know that it's a significant claim. When you have many targets, sometimes they want to settle just to get out of harm's way rather than deal with it. So that can be an advantage.
Yeah, good strategy. What's the magnitude? What's the biggest insurance claim versus what's the smallest, or what would we previously said 200 grand is kind of a ballpark, but
yeah, the biggest one I've been involved with is a 240 unit condominium building, many millions of dollars at stake, and large recovery and settlement.
Oh wow, okay, great. Well, that's good to know. The most popular, let's call them the avatar. What does the most popular client look like in this insurance thing? So it's typically not a brand new building, or is it typically? And so what's that typical? It's a 20-year-old apartment that was converted to condos, or what is it?
I would say the average is a condo or apartment building that's 15 to 40 years old, in that range. Okay. If you have a newer building, you have even more options and other legal remedies that might be out there that you know about. Warranty claims against the builder, contract claims against the contractor. But for insurance claims, it's typically older buildings that aren't able to pursue their warranty claim or the breach of contract claim anymore. Yeah,
and I guess that's where we're seeing it. We have a 1979 community and we want to update it to 2019. We get in there and, they're at the end of their useful life on some issues, but we get in there and do what we call a strip and reclad, and then we find all this pretty significant water damage. And 5 years ago, that wasn't really chased after. So actually that's a segue. So often when we're talking to building owners, they say, well, my brother-in-law or my agent or my whoever, and even some people in some cases, they go, we sent that information to the insurance company and they said it's not covered. And so you're sitting here today saying, well, it might be. And so what happens when they deny, or I guess urban legend number one, water damage isn't covered under insurance policies? Let's kind of talk about that.
Yeah, so most people I find, they think insurance only covers a sudden accidental event like a tree falling on the house. And that's what their insurance agents have usually told them. And, that's kind of a shorthand, but it's not actually true. I've represented over 30 different condo associations and seen them recover for long-term progressive water damage. So I know it's not true. It is true that the insurers almost always deny these claims.
Okay.
And there are lots of different exclusions that can apply.
Okay.
All right. So these claims are difficult to navigate. They're not for novices or laymen.
Yeah.
You try to do it yourself, you're going to get trapped in describing the claim in a way that it leads to an exclusion. That's not what you want. You want to be able to use the words that are triggering coverage, not leading you into a trap. So you definitely want to use an attorney for these claims. The claim will almost certainly be denied, but the claim has settlement value. And the insurer
so what does that mean?
Settle the claim.
What does that mean?
That means the insurance company is real worried that they're going to lose a lawsuit and that the court is going to order them to pay for this damage and pay for our attorney's fees. So the insurance company is facing some major risks, and they say, let's just settle this and make it go away. That's what happens in almost every single one of these cases.
That it's not based on coverage and law and stuff like that, or is it? Or it's just that's another piece saying I don't want to lose, but there are coverage issues.
No, it's based.
Or is this all one big bluff game? Is what you're saying?
It has some similarities to a poker game, but it is based on the policy language. And so there are disagreements over what does this policy mean? How should we interpret it? What really was the cause of this damage? How should we describe the damage? Should we describe it as decay, water damage? Is the true cause really water intrusion, or is it construction defects? All of these issues have to get litigated, and experts like Jens will weigh in on these things. And it's up to the jury at the end of the day if it goes to trial. And so there's risk there for everyone. So because there's risk, most of these cases settle with the insurance company writing a check to make the claim go away.
Okay, and along with that settlement or that risk piece, I've seen insurance carriers just right out of the gate deny, almost like prematurely. And I'm not a lawyer, but isn't there some kind of, don't they have the obligation to investigate and at least look at it a little bit? And so then do they get in trouble kind of because they've denied and now all of a sudden they're in hot water? Is that?
That definitely does happen. And I've been successful in a couple of these cases in getting courts to agree with my interpretation of policies that they do in fact provide coverage for water intrusion. And so when you're able to show that to an insurance company and then ask them, please interpret the policy this way in favor of coverage, if they don't do that, they can get in trouble under Washington law, because Washington law is very favorable to policyholders, building owners. And it says if there's any way you can interpret this policy in favor of the building owner, then that's what you're supposed to do. So if the insurance company doesn't do that, they can face the possibility of triple damages. So there's leverage there.
Do you have any other experience in like Oregon or Utah? We also have offices there. Do you have any other, I mean, you're probably licensed in Washington, but.
I don't, and I will tell you that Washington law is pretty much agreed to be the most policyholder friendly state in the entire union. So if you're in Washington, you're in a great place as a policyholder. You want to take advantage of that. You've been paying for insurance for many years, and you might as well allow your insurance company the opportunity at least to pay for damage if you've got damage to your building.
You've already bought the lottery tickets. You might as well start scratching. Huh? So you touched on the complexity and just the importance of hiring somebody experienced versus sometimes I'll see the board say, well, we called our manager, the manager called the insurance company and they said no. Or we called our HOA attorney that maybe writes tickets and writes dog poop, fines and things like that, and they said no. So your recommendation is somebody that's really experienced with insurance recovery, is it?
Yeah, and that brings up a good point. The law changed in 2012 to make these claims a lot stronger, and a lot of general counsel attorneys still don't know about it and don't know that there's an excellent chance that you may have coverage for the cost of repairing long-term water intrusion. So, don't just ask your general counsel.
Get a second opinion or call you, and then
call somebody with experience in insurance litigation.
Okay. Let's see. Do you have to file a lawsuit? Is this a
Not
lawsuit
necessarily.
thing? Okay.
It's the threat of the lawsuit that gets these cases settled.
Okay.
And so oftentimes we are able to settle even without filing a lawsuit, just making a claim and then corresponding with the insurer. And for whatever reason, some condo associations really don't want to have a lawsuit.
I've never met any association that wants to sue.
I feel very comfortable with lawsuits because I'm a lawyer.
Because that's what you do.
Some people don't.
Right.
And so if that's your strategy, if you want to
to
move forward without a lawsuit, we can do that. It could interfere with your settlement value and reduce your settlement value somewhat if the insurer figures out, hey, I don't think they want to file suit. But we've done that in many cases. And we've been
how long does this type of claim, or if you do file a suit, how long does this type of claim process from asking to getting money? Is that a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year? Is there a rule of thumb? How long does it take?
I would say best case scenario is 6 months to a year.
Okay.
It can take significantly longer than that. I have to be honest about that.
Yeah.
But there are lots of different ways to approach it. Some people just tender the claim and then follow up with a lawsuit right away. And that's probably the fastest way that you can get your money.
Okay.
Other people decide, let's let the claim process play out, and then we'll wait and see. Maybe we won't have to file a lawsuit. So if you go through the claim process for a year and then you're not able to settle, you have to file a lawsuit, then that can stretch it out into 2 years or beyond.
Right.
So there's a wide range of time outcomes.
Okay. Can I buy and sell? Can I sell my unit when there's this lawsuit going on or this claim? Can I buy into the association when this is happening? What does this do to assessments? Are there any? I guess that's a bunch of questions. Can I buy and sell when this is going on?
You can.
Okay.
And the question then becomes, what do you have to disclose?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So there are several things that you potentially would have to disclose. One is a lawsuit. For sure, you have to disclose a lawsuit when you sell a unit. You have to disclose building code violations.
Okay.
And people get confused about that, but short answer, if there's water intrusion, that's a building code violation. Right. Mr. Expert?
Prescriptive. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Exactly.
And third thing you've got to disclose, if the board has approved a plan for repairs and those repairs are more than 5% of the annual budget, you have to disclose that.
So of what's already anticipated in the budget, now these repairs are going to jump on top of that. Okay, gotcha.
Right. Number 4, people forget about this, is you disclose money in the bank, okay? And that's where these claims can really help you, because say you're a 20, 30...
You mean reserves?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Say you're a 20, 30-year-old building and you got nothing, or you got $100 grand in the bank. Well, if, after going through the claim, say you've got $1 million in the bank, and now you're disclosing that on a resale certificate, that can be very helpful in terms of sales. So everyone assumes it's going to be a negative for sales. It can actually sometimes be a real positive for sales.
That's true. That's true. Okay. What else? Let's see. We talked about the claim process. We talked about how big it needs to be. Doesn't just apply to condos, applies to apartments. We're seeing a lot of apartments actually use this because it's the same building. It's just on ownership issues. We haven't seen a lot of commercial buildings, but you're saying commercial buildings with the same exact, they're all insured by the same folks.
Should have similar coverage.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what other, I guess, what else can you tell our building owner listeners? You know, kind of the, you know, people call us, hey, Jens, I got a leaky roof. What do I do? You know, my first thing is like, probably, have you called the roofer yet? I mean, there's probably some easy things you can do, but then when it gets complicated, then you need somebody like us. So do they know they need an insurance claim right out of the gate? I mean, they're just like, I've got all this damage, now what? That's kind of how we run into it.
Yeah.
You know?
Let me step back to one of your questions from a second ago. What I think people don't know about these claims is when you've got a 20, 30-year-old building and you might be thinking, hey, maybe the windows are old or maybe the siding is old. I don't know when I'm going to need to replace those. You might start thinking about it in those terms. And if you are, then you might as well take a look and see if there's hidden damage. Because if you find hidden damage behind the siding, then, and you ask J2, what's the repair? J2 is probably going to say, what? Strip and reclad, right?
Well, to get to the structural damage, yeah, you bet. You need to pull the siding off. So, but it's, I think the bigger piece is us, you know, we're saying you need new siding, you need new windows. We can see that. So here's $1 million job. Then we pull it open and it's like, whoa, you got to reframe, you've got big beams, you've got all sorts of things that are hammered. Now your project went from $1 million to $2 million or more. And then people's budgets get blown out of the water and they're like, you know, I'd only planned on this and now what? And so that's where this kind of kicks in.
But here's the key to understand is there's no coverage. Let's say you've got damage to your siding or damage to your windows. Okay, that's not covered.
Great. Okay.
All right, so you can't go to your insurance company and say, hey, I want new siding, I want new windows. Yeah. But there is potentially coverage for damage to your framing and sheathing and building paper.
The hidden stuff,
hidden damage, right.
Okay.
So that's, if you're thinking about pursuing an insurance claim, that's what you have to focus on.
Okay.
So you have to see if there's damage there. You won't know until
do
you
that little
siding.
investigation to kind of open it up and see. I mean, we call them a little sniff test of just, let's open it up. We're also checking for allowances and things like that of how much damage is here. Oh, wow, this is totally unsuspected. I've painted and caulked the building my entire life. It looks great from the outside. I mean, we could show you pictures of, looks really good. Then you pull it off and it's like, wow, completely hammered. So
right, so that would be my advice. If you're thinking at all about the possibility of any major repairs in the next year, have J2 come out and take a look and see if there's hidden damage.
Yep, look around, okay? And then also knowing how to, I think one of the things we offer is knowing what you might have potential coverage here. Call a Dan, call somebody and keep that thing moving, because we've seen others reports and it's terrible. They're written wrong and they get logically denied and it's like, oh wow, if they would have just looked at it from this lens, it could have been a pretty cool recovery. So,
One other point that's really important is there's usually a 1 year clock or deadline.
Oh yeah, right.
All right, so it's 1 year from when you find that hidden damage to actually make a claim and file a lawsuit against your insurance company.
So a little bit of a clock.
If you call me within, say 11 months, then I can usually get the insurance companies to agree to stop the clock before it expires. We use something called the tolling agreement to do that. But it is important to move quickly once you find hidden damage.
So boards that kick the can down the road to the next board, or owners who kick the can down the road to the next buyer. I've seen both of those, and then all of a sudden the buyer's suing the seller because they knew about it. It's kind of a big mess. But okay, so the 1 year clock, that's a good one.
That can be a problem.
Okay, so check. Look at your policies, 1 year time clock, do a little investigation to figure it out. When you find, the idea is, oh my goodness, hidden damage that you didn't expect. And so don't be afraid to call your insurance policy and look at it and check it out. So yeah, I don't necessarily keep my insurance policies. Where are those 10-year-old insurance policies? And especially with like a volunteer board or hey, I bought the building 3 years ago. Where do they find that? You got to go digging? That's a little bit of a
Usually
needle
we
in a
don't-
haystack.
Usually we don't find them.
Okay.
Usually what we find is board meeting minutes, certificates of insurance, resale certificates that
Okay.
mention policy numbers, secondary evidence.
So that's part of the
who was
sleuth
the
thing.
insurer and what's the policy number.
Gotcha.
And then we usually get a copy of the insurance policy from the insurer.
Okay.
But we'll take a look at your files and
Right.
build the coverage chart. In other words, filling in who was the insurer during each one
Right.
of these years. And it's not only property insurance, it's also if you bought separate earthquake insurance,
Mhm.
that's written on a policy called difference in conditions coverage that can also provide really valuable coverage for water damage.
Okay.
So we look at those policies as well. And, we'll take a look at your records for free just to tell you if you got something that might be worth pursuing.
Perfect. All right, thank you, Dan. Hopefully you guys got something out of this video series talking about insurance. Insurance policies make me go to sleep, but they are they are often filled with good information for you. And so, if you have an insurance question, don't hesitate to reach out to either of us. We'll have our contact information down below and in the back of the video there. So, thanks for watching.
Thanks.
Thanks, Dan.